I'm James Cridden, the radio futurologist, and this is Radioland, my international radio trends newsletter. You can subscribe for free at radioland.email. And this is November the 9th, 2025, news bulletins on radio and AI. When I worked in commercial radio in the UK, every hour on the hour we broke for a live news bulletin. Even in today's deregulated UK market, Ofcom expects regularly refreshed and locally gathered news bulletins, normally hourly, during daytimes. Canada expects a third of output to be local, and that news is, quote, an essential aspect of station output. Minimums are agreed per station. Ireland's requirement is particularly fierce for news and current affairs output, a negotiable standard of not less than 20% of all broadcast airtime and at least 120 minutes a day. In Australia, though, as with many things, Australia's media regulator ACMA is a little more relaxed, requiring local radio broadcasters to broadcast A, at least one news bulletin a day, and B, at least 62.5 minutes of bulletins a week. That's, if you've worked it out, a 90-second bulletin every hour during weekday daytimes, and you can't just repeat them either. But producing news is expensive. A report in Media Week reported further in entertaining fashion on the ABC's Media Watch, I linked to both of those from the newsletter version of this, suggests that on SCA stations, bulletins are now being written by AI that scrapes local news from online sources, leading one human newsreader to check and voice 39 local bulletins a day across 4 regions. I also suspect the newsreader isn't actually voicing complete bulletins either, judging by the similarity of the intros on the ABC's Media Watch. Now, I'm not sure how possible it is to fact-check AI output at scale like this, and I suspect that there's a lawsuit waiting to happen for broadcasting an unchecked story. Only a few weeks ago, in fact, when producing an audio transcript for this very newsletter, I caught my own transcript generation AI tool confidently giving me text about an alleged and proven offence. The audio actually said an alleged unproven offence. I also wonder how much local news actually exists for AI to scrape these days anyway. Elsewhere, good news. After BBC Sounds was turned off in July, the BBC have restored on-demand access for flagship BBC Radio 4 programmes in the BBC International app. Around 4 months later, I've updated my canonical guide on how to listen to BBC Radio outside the UK with that information. Now, the only thing I'm keen to happen is for the BBC to stop promoting BBC Sounds outside the UK in its podcast trails. They've got all of the tools to do that already, and it's clear evidence to me of friction between Sounds and studios. Triton Digital has rolled out an interesting product for radio sales. It's known as Ad Builder AI, and it allows smaller advertisers to make radio ads themselves using AI, then pay for their radio advertising using a credit card. It fixes some of the problems of local direct sales, that below a certain size of order, it's not really very viable to give a full-service 3-call sell to a small advertiser. So your station's version of this tool is all branded with your own logos and stuff. It's a very clever application of technology to free your salespeople up to give their full support to larger advertisers. Talking about radio advertising, I linked to a piece from AdsWiz suggesting that they have the data to be able to give a better answer in terms of frequency or opportunities to hear than the oft-quoted at least 3. It also links to SiriusXM, which suggests that the best value is 4 or more. In Estonia, Radio Kuku has reportedly announced that it's going to stop broadcasting on 7 FM frequencies from mid-January due to high costs, they say, replacing the coverage with a DAB+ signal. I suspect we'll see a bit more of that. And last time I wrote about my disappointment that there was no local content on my local ABC station after 7 p.m. on a Sunday night, I discovered that BBC Local Radio wants to stop bothering doing local radio on Sunday afternoons entirely, and instead they want to network an All England programme instead. David Lloyd makes a response to Ofcom, which is excellently written, very robust, and worth a read for anyone like me who wants to learn how to criticise properly. You'll find that linked from the newsletter today at radioland.email. Finally, to Brisbane, which I appreciate I've been banging on about recently, and you're probably not very interested in it, hence why it's at the bottom of the newsletter and why I've left it till last. And frankly, why I didn't do one of these newsletters last week, because I had very little to say that wasn't Brisbane-based. But having fired the current KISS 97.3 breakfast team in Brisbane, although correctly letting these professionals say their goodbyes, so thank you for that, ARN has announced a surprising replacement. We'll get somebody called Craig Lowy Lowe. It's a curious choice. He's lived in the US since 2010 as a comedy writer, performer, actor and director. Apparently, he only returned to Australia last month. He's not done radio or even any podcasts since 2010. It's also interesting since by rights, the $20 million a year Kyle and Jackie O should be on KISS instead. Also in January, ARN will launch the Christian O'Connell Breakfast Show in Brisbane. Tried and proven talent with a music format that works brilliantly in this market, but music that's only available on AM. So it's an obvious number one FM station. But Christian will only launch on DAB+ and not on FM. Now, I just went to check whether the press release about Lowy said KISS 97.3 or just said KISS. It says 97.3, but are ARN really going to squander this golden opportunity? I think there's surprises still to come, if you ask me. Also, congratulations to Sophie Formica and Dean Miller, who have been given 4BC's breakfast show next year. I don't know Dean. I've met Sophie, though. She's a great and positive broadcaster. Both are Brisbane-based, and they've known each other for 20 years. And it does fill me with quite a lot of confidence that this show won't just be an angry old man shouting about politics and stirring for divisive talking points. The ABC, I think, should be a bit concerned about 4BC next year, particularly if 4BC's owners, Channel 9, use their multimedia heft to promote the new show properly. Next, I'm speaking at Radio Days Europe in Riga in Latvia in March 2026. I mean, theoretically, next I'm speaking at an event in Sri Lanka towards the end of November. But I don't quite yet have any confirmed tickets or anything like that. So, what do you know? But thank you to the many supporters of this newsletter and podcast, Clyde Broadcast, the radio people. Radio.co, AdMaster, cloud-powered traffic and billing tool, it says in the graphic, which I can't quite read, hence why I was a little bit pausing there. Anyway, admaster.info to find out more about them. And Wade Kingsley, the creative coach. Thank you all for your support and all of the other regular supporters. If you would like to buy me a coffee or something, then that would be nice. Buymeacoffee.com/James Cridland is where to go. And you can also follow me on Mastodon, james@bne.social. And my website has more details about who I am, what I do, and whether I can help you further. That is at james.crid.land. And until next time, keep listening.